Hi, my name's Eliza, and today I am going to show you 5 of my favourite Jimmy Page licks. Jimmy Page is one of my favourite players of all time. I've taken so much from his work, so my favourites are by no means limited to this list, and if you would like to see more, let me know, because I would love to do more. So hopefully I've chosen ones that will help your playing and kind of propel it forward. I've chosen a couple of his sort of faster ones, and they're definitely licks that when I learnt them, I saw some improvement in my playing as a beginner. So yeah, I've chosen a couple that hopefully will propel your playing a bit, but also I've tried to choose ones that are very typically Page, licks that he plays something similar or plays often. So if you are aiming to kind of emulate that Page sound, hopefully these are a really good place to start. It's also worth mentioning, despite the fact most of you are probably aware, that Page rarely, if ever, plays the same thing twice in exactly the same way. I've chosen licks, lick examples that are just on the Led Zeppelin albums, on the recordings. However, if you're aiming to capture Page's style as a whole, definitely don't be afraid to mess with them and mix them up, because he would. He never plays the same thing twice on stage, so I'd encourage you to do the same. And just quickly before we get into lick number 1, if you are interested in one-on-one Skype tuition, my contact details will be in the description below. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. And without further ado, let's get into lick number 1. Lick number 1 comes from the Good Times Bad Times solo, and it's an ascending lick in our E minor, box 1, pentatonic shape. If you're not super comfortable with all your pentatonics yet, you probably should be for approaching Page's playing. It's where he spends most of his time, so do make sure you're comfortable with all your pentatonic positions. They're really going to help as a point of reference here. So it's this ascending phrase. It appears in Good Times Bad Times. It goes something like this. Not the cleanest, but hey, it's in the spirit of the man himself. So what we've basically got here is just a repeating pattern that moves up our box 1 pentatonic shape. So I've seen some people approach this by picking every note. Personally, I prefer to use pull-offs. I'm not 100% on what he's doing on the album there, but I just find that pull-offs are a bit more Page-like, just because it's so common in his solos to see these kinds of, those sorts of figures. He does a lot of sort of hammer-on and pull-off stuff, so I'm going to use pull-offs. If you'd rather pick it, you can. So we're starting on our 14th fret of our A string, pulling off to 12 of our A string, and we're back to 14. 12 on the D string, and then you're gonna come back onto your A string and pick 14, and then 12 again on the D string. So you've got this little back and forth, 12, 14, 12 between your A and D string, and that's basically the pattern that's going to repeat. So we move that up the pentatonic scale. We come then onto 14 of the D, pull off 12, hammer 14, and then onto our G string, we do our little sort of back and forth again, which, by the way, I'm inside picking, which usually, if you're talking about alternate picking, you're going to want to avoid, but I think there's something about this particular lick. It's not incredibly staccato. There is a sense of the strings ringing slightly together. There's still separation. You don't want a full... But it just feels more like his playing to me. Also, he tends to hold his picks slightly differently from most players. Most players, myself included, favour holding the pick so that sort of as little of the end of the pick is showing as possible. I've noticed that he tends to leave a little more pick visible than most players, quite a lot in some cases. So it kind of, having slightly more flex in the pick tends to lend itself to that inside picking motion as well. So for 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12. That back and forth there. So then we come on to our G string. 14, 12, 14 again. B string 12, 14 G string, 12 B string. And we're going to finish it up 15, 12, 15 on the B string, and then 12 E, 15 B, back to 12 on the E. I forget what he does next, I think. You know, he starts bending up here. So if you do want to finish it with a bend or something, then that's fairly page-like to do. So that's lick number 1. It's a great one to improve your dexterity, the strength of your hammer-on pull-offs, and your picking technique. Okay, so lick 2 is a very short one, but I think it's sort of worth zooming in on and paying attention to, because he uses it all the time, and it's basically just a little sort of overbending concept that reappears so many times in his playing, but probably most distinctly it's in the solo of Whole Lotta Love. There's a little phrase. So that little lick right there is what I want to talk about for a second. It's not necessarily the hardest thing in the world, but it sounds really, really cool. So we're still in our E minor pentatonic scale here, but we want to start all the way up on fret 20. Page is also a big fan of really utilizing the top of the guitar. He does a lot of really sort of high work. And what we want to do is have our ring finger on that 20 ready to bend, and you want to have your index on the 17th fret of that B string, because that's what you're going to pull off to. Most of the time when we're bending, we have, you know, our target note in mind, and we're probably going a step and a half. Honestly, my advice for this one, even though there is a specific pitch he's hitting, is just to bend it as far as it will go, because it has that sort of sliding chromaticism feel to it. You can be quite slow with it, you know. You have to make the faces too, or it doesn't work. When we pull down from that bend, we want to pull on to the come back down onto the 17th fret there, and then we come over to the G string, play 19, and then B string, 20, 17. You probably want to add these sort of like pick rakes into. Just makes it a bit more expressive. Add vibrato whenever you're arriving at a sort of destination note. He uses that particular overbend a lot, and it's a very, very cool one. So that's a good one to integrate into your own playing too. Okay, lick number 3 is, I think, the guitar lick that made me realize I wanted to be a lead guitar player, and it's the beginning of the absolutely ripping solo on Since I've Been Loving You. I think it's my favorite just guitar performance of all time, is that song. So now we're going to be in our C minor, pentatonic, but I mean, if you do decide to go and look at the solo as a whole, it's got slightly more of a Aeolian minor feel to it, but we're going to be in the pentatonic here, and this example sounds something like this. And then if you want to finish it. But this, I want to sort of pay attention to this descending. It's just so Page. So we want to start with the common blues phrase everybody knows, a bend on our G string, in this case 10th fret. We don't want to release that. We want to then roll the finger from 8 B string, 8 high E string. Then we want to come on to 11 of the B string, pull off 8, and we want to do that twice. That alone is a phrase that he very often opens things with, or, you know, if you just want to play that, begin your own licks that way, you will sound quite paid. That little. So then you want to come on to 10th of your G string again, back to 8 of the B, then we have this. So pull off 10, 8 G string, onto 10 of the D string, back to 8 of the G string, and back to 10 of the D string. Then we have this phrase. Just that little hammer-on pull-off phrase alone, again, so typical of Page's playing. So in this instance, we're going to want to start on the 8 of our D string, hammer on 10, pull off back to 8, and come on to 10 of our A string. And then back to 8 of the D string, back to 10 of the A. All together so far. Then we want to slide down, slightly further down from our box 1 position, and come on to 6 of our A string, hammer on and pull off 8, come on to 8 of the low E, back to 6 of the A, back to 8 of the low E. And then we want to, once we've come back to that 8, do a little sort of slide from 8, 10. So we slide 8, 10, and then rolling the finger again across 8 D string, 8 G string, and finishing it off by doing a pull off from 10 to 8 on the D, and then a hammer on back to that 10 D string. Then finishes it by pulling off 10 8 G string, coming on to 10 of the D twice, 8 of the G, and then picking 10 D string twice. So once again, all together slowly on that one. And if you want to finish it off like it is on the record, that's just starting 8G, some bends on the 10, 10, back to the 8, and back to the 10. So. That's a really cool one. If you do want to go and learn that whole solo, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's really Page at his best. So I love that solo. Have fun with it. Okay, lick number 4 appears at the start of the Black Dog solo. This is an A major example, and I think it has that real sort of major country feel that Page's playing sometimes does. And we've also got that sort of inside picking thing again. So for this one, we want to start with our open A string and slide in from fret 2 to fret 4. And then we want to go 2 4 on the D string, come on to 2 G string, and then back to 4 of the D string, back to 2 of the G string. And we finish that by sliding into our sort of box 1 major pentatonic position in A, sliding from fret 4 to 6 on the G string. And then we do a bit of string skipping, which is also a really good thing to practice. We come on to 5 of our high E string there. That repeats 3 times, and he finishes it off with this sort of phrase. So we want to be bending from 5 on the G string, and you can pick that a couple times. I've seen him, when he plays this solo live, he really switches it up. Sometimes he goes for like, or sometimes he might pick it a few more times. But as long as you get the vibe, it's fine. So I probably pick it 3 times. And bring it down on the 3rd. Come down to 4, 2, 4 of the D string, and then hammer 2, 4 of the G string. So that is lick number 4. So lick number 5 is this really simple little phrase that appears time and time again in Page's playing. I think the Lemon song solo is one example that springs to mind off the top of my head, but it sounds like this. It appears at various speeds, various tempos, various times. So we want to start, we're in our E minor pentatonic again here, I should probably mention. So we're starting on our 12th fret, high E string. We come onto the B string, pull off 15, 12, and then we do a little bend on our 14th fret of the G string. And then just repeat. So we want to do a little bit of that sort of string skipping again. For me, honestly, I like to pick it down, down, and then up. But if you wanted to, I'm sure that just going through with up picks or down, up, down, up is probably a wise way to approach it. Page does favour economy picking a lot of the time. So yeah, that's a cool little way to start things. I mean, in the Lemon song, I think it feeds into a sort of longer descending lick. And he sort of hangs out down here a bit and comes back up. I forget how exactly. But yeah. It's a nice way to get into the rest of your pentatonic in a fairly Page-like way. So there you go, those are 5 of my favourite Page licks. Let me know which yours are, and if you'd like to see some more, do please subscribe or leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.